Would you recommend a few jazz albums to our viewers?
Ooh. Well,
I know it's a tough one, but
yeah. Well, obviously, Kind of Blue.
absolutely.
You know, the #1 selling jazz album of all time.
Arguably the best jazz album of all time.
Exactly. You know, that album is such a root of modern jazz. You know, because everybody on the record went on to become a great band leader in their own right. So, Kind of Blue. Gosh. Something about Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, probably Moanin'.
Yeah, that's
you know.
a great record.
You know what was amazing to me about Art Blakey? You hear him on these records and he's swinging so hard. I mean, it's like a Mack truck
Yeah.
going downhill with no brakes. I mean, just the intensity of his groove is just like, my gosh. And somebody like Freddie Hubbard, who at times could be a real alpha male, you know, he could be like a real, you know, like a WWF kind of personality every now and then. When he would talk about Art Blakey, he would get like a kid. You know, he'd be like, man, I'm so lucky I got to play with Art Blakey. Like, just the mere thought of Art Blakey would just make Freddie humble, you know.
That's incredible.
He would say, man, you know, nobody could swing like that. You know, the stage would shake when Art Blakey would start swinging. So yeah, anything by Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Coltrane, A Love Supreme. Absolutely. You know, I think maybe if you're just getting into jazz and you want to kind of ease your way into Coltrane, you know, maybe something like Blue Train or My Favorite Things, you know, and that could be a good lead in to A Love Supreme.
Interstellar Space as well.
Right.
Or Jupiter Variations, and then it's over.
Right. Yeah. And some modern records I think are great too. Like, I think one of the greatest jazz albums of all time is Wynton Marsalis's Black Codes from the Underground.
That's a great
with the band with Branford and Kenny Kirkland and Shawnette Moffett and Jeff Tain Watts. That album was like a cornerstone of all the young cats growing up in the 80s. Goodness. Roy Hargrove's album, Moment to Moment, with the strings. Man, so many albums I can't think
I know exactly
of
what you're talking about, because when people ask me to recommend them jazz albums, like,
yeah, you know?
it's like your head goes blank because there's so many good ones.
Right.
How about a couple fusion albums?
I love the early version of Return to Forever, the first incarnation with Flora Purim and Airto.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Farrell. You know,
horns.
Exactly. So, Light as a Feather. That album that's one of my Desert Island CDs. Tony Williams' Lifetime, Emergency.
That's a scary album.
That album is pure evil.
Pure evil. That's a good way to put it.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite albums.
I feel like his project was like so overlooked, especially that one.
Oh, totally, absolutely. That
with John
band,
McLaughlin, Larry Young, and him.
It's
like,
shocking that band didn't catch on.
Yeah.
More.
And then they added Jack Bruce in like a couple of years, and it's like, yeah, forget it. Exactly.
You know?
It's over.
You know, obviously, John went on to create the Mahavishnu Orchestra, which, you know, can't deny that was a very important band. I would say Birds of Fire. That's my favorite Mahavishnu album. Bitches Brew, of course. You know, you got to give it up, because to me that album still stands alone. It doesn't sound like, you know, it's to me it captures Miles in this transition period, kind of like, well, I still have my jazz hat on, but I'm trying to get this other thing happening. I don't really quite know what it is, but I'm going to try to figure it out. So there's like this whole wash of this jazz personality, this avant-garde rock thing going on. It's just like all jumbled together.
There's never been anything that sounded like before it or after it.
I love the fact that, you know, Miles would record something like that. You know, most artists would say, well, let me figure out the concept and then record it.
Well, I mean, you know, he records it, and like every critic out there is just like,
bashing them.
What are you doing?
Right, exactly.
I mean, what happened to, you know, milestones? And then
now
he's like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it was such a cornerstone for like everything to go on progressively
Right.
from them.
And then the last album this is my own, because this is one of my own personal favorites. I think the greatest fusion band ever, well, the two greatest fusion bands ever to me were Weather Report and Herbie Hancock's Mwandishi Sextet.
Yes.
Now, see, I think the Mwandishi Sextet, and when the whole neo-soul thing started getting hot in the mid and late 90s, everybody kind of re-embraced the Headhunters. Mm-hmm. But I always loved the Mahavishnu Orchestra because the Mwandishi Sextet, because that band was just so
out there.
I mean, that's what Bitches Brew probably would have become had Miles kind of, because after Bitches Brew, Miles kind of went all out straight funk.
Yeah.
You know,
fire all his actual,
exactly.
you know, bass players.
It just like went straight vamps for 20 minutes, just grooving and funking on one chord. But Herbie's band, you know, the album Mwandishi or Sextant, those two albums are just like
phenomenal.
They're not.
I love your cover on that on Live at Tonic. You do them.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
That whole jam, that whole like second and third disc is just like.
I'm glad somebody liked it.
Hey man, whenever someone asks me who's Christian McBride, I'm like, you need to get Live at Tonic. That is like him at his best. Like everything you do, everything.
Oh,
it's
thank
phenomenal.
you, man. And of course, I gotta put in the word for Heavy Weather too. Anything with Jaco Pastorius on it.
Jaco. It's over.
It's my hero.
It's over with that guy. I appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, Zach.
Zach Zeidner here with MusicRunners.com, contemporary jazz bassist Christian McBride. He's the man.
No, Zach is the man. I'm only the man because the man said I'm the man.
Thanks again,
man. You got it, buddy.